Hi, I'm Kevin Gao,
I am Natan White.
and we're teaching a series of workshops on the Vulcan Tech Gospel, which is a framework for understanding hybrids through a whole different set of props. Yeah, let's get started. So I guess we should start with talking about the concept of timing and direction. So this video is meant to be supplementary with something called the Vulcan Tech Gospel Part 1. It's a PDF that's published by Noel and it's available on the internet. Go download it. If you Google it, you'll find it. So the first diagram we're talking about is on the first page. In it, you'll see four tangent circles that talk about transition theory between timing directions. So this is tog same, right? So what this refers to is that my hands are moving together and they're moving in the same direction. And then the other pattern that's the contrary opposite of that is the split opposite pattern, which looks like this. So my hands here are moving in split time and in opposite directions. So opposite and same are kind of intuitive. You kind of see how same is this way and opposite is this way. But what's not quite intuitive is understanding the difference between together and split. So together refers to when you have it. So you can check if a pattern is together or split depending upon the way that the downbeat occurs. So the downbeat is the beat that occurs at the bottom of a pattern, so at this point in the pattern. So let's say that we're doing this pattern, right? So we know that this is a together pattern because when it comes to this point, you see your hands reaching there in pairs. So that means that it's a together pattern. The other together pattern is tog up, and you see that again, your hands reach there in pairs. So then for your split time pattern, you're going to reach your hands, your hands will reach the downbeat as lonely onlys. So this is the split same pattern, reaching there as just one hand, not a pair. And for the split up, that also is also the case. Okay, cool. So then what the diagram in the VTG shows is how the different timing directions can be transitioned between. So for example, let's start in tog same, right? So tog same can be transitioned into tog up, right? Because they both share that up point up here where your hands are together. Tog up also has that, but it also can transition into split up because it has this point where your hands are together at the sides, right? But what it cannot transition to is split same, because split same is a move where all your hands are always opposite to each other. So tog same never has that moment. So it's never going to be able to do that transition. And that diagram will kind of lay out how that transition occurs. Any two adjacent circles will be able to be transitioned between. But if a circle is not adjacent to another circle, you can't transition between those two timing directions. Okay. Next, we went over, in class there was a game that I'd like you guys to play. Basically, I want you to start moving in a timing direction and practice your transitions between the timing directions by stopping, thinking about what you're doing, and then starting a new timing direction based on your current position, right? So, for example, Natan, what does he do? Face the camera. Natan's doing tog same, right? So he'd be like, stop. What are you doing?
Well, I was doing tog same.
He's doing tog same.
And from here.
And he's going to change. Now he's doing
Same up. Tog up.
tog up. Can't fuck up now. Okay, so he's doing tog up. Good. So you just keep doing that and be like, oh, tog up. Tog up's here. What can I do from here? Split same. Yay. So then you just keep doing that game until you kind of have this like intuitive sense of what things I can transition to from a particular point in my pattern. So then what we went over was how to do what are called minimal beat shapes. So minimal beat shapes are patterns that require a hand path that's just a circle and require one beat to complete. So it's called a one-to-one pattern because it takes one rotation of the hand and one rotation of the prop to complete. So those basically they depend on two properties of your prop. So they have in-facing and out-facing. So if I start my prop always in in-facing, I get what's called an isolation. And if I have my prop always in out-facing, I get an extension, right? And then if I switch between out and in every step, then I get what's called a cat-eye. And that has two orientations. That is a vertical and a horizontal form. So in the vertical form, I start at my horizontal with an in-facing, then I go to an out-facing at the top, and then in-facing at the side, and out-facing at the bottom. So it goes like this, right? And then if I were to do a horizontal cat-eye, I kind of invert that. So I make it so that I have an in facing at the top, and out facing at the sides, in facing at the bottom, and out facing at the side.
You'll notice that with the horizontal cat-eye, the tip makes a horizontal line, whereas with the vertical cat-eye, the head makes a vertical line.
And as a tip for how to do the horizontal cat-eye, because there's some trickery in it, you have to pass through this window, like here, in order to get this transition to occur. I'm going to do it from multiple angles so people will kind of get it. This is the best way to do it, because going from the outside it's possible, but it's kind of more awkward. This is definitely more like kinesthetically like pleasing, I guess, is the way to describe it. Just a thing to kind of talk about is that switching from in to out prop facing is by definition an anti-spin step. So from here to here, that's an anti-spin, right? Cool. And anti-spins, if you aren't familiar with them, is when your prop and your arms are moving in opposite directions. So if I'm going this way with my hand and I'm going the other way with my prop, I end up with a anti-spin. Excuse me. Okay, so the next thing we talked about were how to interpret a couple of diagrams. This is the second set of diagrams in the VTG. Essentially, it's describing things with a particular prop facing and the possible, and then particular hand timing direction, and then the possible prop timing directions that and shapes that can result from it. So one example we went over was from tog same hands and up facing, all the possible branching VTG moves you could do. So for example, if I went from here, this prop facing to this prop facing, that implies that I'm doing a vertical cat-eye, tog same vertical cat-eye. And the reason I know that is because if I give an initial and a second prop facing, I have determined my prop's timing direction. And if I give it a shape, then I get the pattern. So this is what results from that. And then what we learned was that you can also do from this initial starting position, tog same just as an extension, so your props are always out now. And then the last permutation that we haven't talked about is what happens when we go from props facing out to props facing in and out. So that goes to here, right? So that's this pattern. So what that actually ends up being, we talk about just the shape, is the idea of an extension versus a vertical cat-eye in tog same hands. Okay? But we can also do these in other hand timing and directions. We can do these in tog up. So for example, we start out here again and we decide that we want to do that same shape, but we want to do it in tog up, we do this. Right? And the reason we do this, well, I guess it's self-evident the reason we do this, because it's awesome. This is just kind of the same exercise with a different hand timing direction. Notice that the shapes my props are making are completely the same. And what's cool is that you can use this as a transition point to things within the same hand timing direction, but also to, like if you're doing the same shape, then you can move from the same shape into a different hand timing direction. You have to keep one element the same, but that's how transition theory works. You pick one element to keep constant, and then you switch something in it, and then you kind of just jump between the different elements that are available for you to switch around. So for example, if I'm doing that extension versus cat-eye, I can stop up here, right? And then I can go into the other extension versus cat-eye and tog same hands, right? And then I can go back. And that's kind of just the principle of VTG, just kind of finding one variable and like tweaking it, and then leaving the rest of it the same. Then the next thing we went over was we're reading these maps where you have a timing direction of the hands and understanding how you can kind of move between kind of nodes of hand positioning or hand prop positioning. So for example, if I'm starting here, I know I can move to here, and that is a horizontal cat-eye, right? And what I can do from here is I can go to a extension, and this has all been tog same hands. And then when I'm up here, I can move to this, right? We've all done this already. So this is the cat-eye versus extension. And then when I'm here, I can move to this pattern, right? This is a new pattern we haven't talked yet. This is a isolation versus horizontal cat-eye, and oh shit. and then from this point, let's say, we can go into double isolation, right? And then from that point here, in that double isolation, we can also go to vertical cat-eye. And then from this point up here, we can go back into extension versus cat-eye. So this is just kind of following that picture and, you know, looking at how it's describing the connections between the different prop facings and how it lets you change timing direction of your prop without changing timing direction of your hands. Because notice throughout the entire sequence I just did now, I did not change the timing direction of my hands. I just changed the timing direction of my prop and the shape that my prop was making as a result.